This is the Lockpicker 1969 and welcome to my channel. And today I thought I would try to go through a little bit of information that I've been trying to work through. I'm trying to learn disc detainer locks. I'm not all that great at them yet, but I am working with the Sparrows disc detainer picking tool. And I have run into some things trying to use this tool that for me were easily overcome, I think, by taking advantage of some things that are out there in the community that you can 3D print if you have a 3D printer. I thought I would go through what I found worth printing and what I found kind of not worth your time, and then point out some of the things that I thought were useful, at least they were to me. So one of the problems that I've had with this pick, and just to point out, this is adjustable, so you can basically, you know, be able to handle having this go and only operate on the first disc in the lock. But for the sake of just showing this, let me see here. Putting it in a lock, for example, if it's not right on, and you can only push this thing in so far, it basically, you get this movement. And if your pick is not aligned properly with, you know, straight up and down, you're going to have a hard time getting back and forth between the discs. So I was looking for a solution that would help me stabilize the pick. And I first came across this little thingy that you can download off of Thingiverse. And it's just like almost like a cowl or a cover. It goes right over this, and it extends out a bit. And it's supposed to be a 0.15 inch spacer, and it does help a little bit. But what I found difficult with using this is it didn't really provide me with the surface that I wanted on top of the lock. So what you'll notice now is when I get this in here, it does rest up on the lock a bit better. So it is an improvement over the way this pick works, but I wanted more stability than that. So essentially, I went looking for something else, and I came across this here, and this seemed to me to do a better job of giving me more control and covering more of the lock when the pick is in there. I just need to get it in there. I don't care if it's right or not. But so it actually covers more surface, and it winds up being way more stable, which I like, because that's not going to move. So this was a nice little, get this out of the lock. Come on. So that provided some nice stability for me anyways, and it literally prints in like 5 minutes. It doesn't take very long. So let me take this off for a minute. Now, one of the other things I ran into that frankly I found was kind of a waste of printer filament, but I learned something, so I'm trying to share this with everybody that's watching this video. So when you need to get to just that first disc, they have these things that you can download the files and print them, but they're just spacers, and they just fit over this, and they go all the way up to looks like 4 millimeters, but it just goes right onto the pick, and it causes. Now, what I found useless with these is if you can go and just adjust this, then you don't really need that. And if you're using one of these type of things for adding some stability to your pick, that brings out enough that just using this adjustment is sufficient. So I didn't really see the need for these spacer discs anymore. Not when I'm using a combination of adjusting this and using a stabilizing thing. Now, I will point out that while this little thing printed out and went right onto the pick without any issues, I did have to go through with a file and open up this hole and clean it out a bit so that it would fit over the pick just fine. So before I get into some other things, I used to use just a large wiper blade insert, and essentially used that to straighten out these. All right. I used to use these to essentially as my turning tool to turn all of the discs clockwise. They do have these on Thingiverse that you can download. One has an actual profile to it with the notch. The other one's just a flat, like, stick almost. Both work just fine. Either one of them, they have, and they work well. They also have ones for specific locks out there as well that are worth checking out. I will provide links to everything I'm showing you today in the comments for this, or in the description of this video. The last thing that I noticed was one of the things about working with the lock. So let's put this stabilizer on there. Need to come out a little bit. When I noticed that when you're all the way at the bottom of the lock, let me turn it so that it gets stuck up below the last disc and the bottom or the back of the lock. There's all this play, and what I thought I would want to do is have an identifying way of limiting and identifying visually where the bottom, of the lock is. So what I decided to do was I really needed what we would normally use with drill bits when you're working on something, just a way of limiting the depth. And what I found was these little, they're the same thing that you would use on a drill bit, and they have these, I just put a set screw in here, and you can actually put this onto the pick. You show that. So this, just take this handle off. This can slip right on. Put this back in place. And now I can essentially take this, I can put this in the lock, and I can adjust and then tighten this down where I want to keep it in place on the pick. And it gives me a stop point then that this pick will not go past. So let's put it in the lock. And of course it went back in because I took it apart. Hold on. There. So we'll go to the bottom. Now all I have to do is bring this up. So I bring this up to the other disc, and then I can tighten this in place. And now I can start right from that point in the lock, right on that disc. So anyways, basically it's just a spacer you would use for a drill bit, more or less. And that limits me to the movement of the discs within the lock. So that's what my final pick looks like. Hope you found this video interesting or helpful. Like I said, I'll put all the links to everything that I printed here into the comments or the description for the video. Not worth printing the spacers. Not worth printing this, really, in my opinion. This works so much better. And then this is a nice little addition to help, limit your movement of the pick in the lock. Thank you for watching. If you are a subscriber, thank you. If you're not yet a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications and all, and hit like on the video if you liked this and if you found this helpful. Thank you for watching.